Hello everyone. Today I want to take a look at refactoring that shopping app we made the other day just a little bit to make it a bit more readable and a bit more maintainable if I do decide to actually use it. So just as a quick refresher, let me go ahead and start up the shopping app. I'll go ahead and do this and we'll go over to localhost port 3000. So this was the thing we made in the previous video, which is just a list of the total prices for a bunch of products that you purchase. And then as you click and update these, everything is saved with remote calls and it updates the totals because it's refreshing the page. So that's fine, but I kind of want this to look a little bit better. We are using Bootstrap in this application, but we're not actually using Bootstrap, if you know what I mean. So I thought we'd take a look at refactoring that. And also the JavaScript that ChatGPT generated for us could be a little bit cleaner. And for that, I'm probably just going to do this, which was a couple requests to GPT 3.5 to refactor the code to make it a bit more readable. So we'll take a look at how that changes as well. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and move this over, stop the server. We need to CD out of here, and I'm going to do a, well, I guess we can CD back in there because it's going to be in the same repo. What I'm going to do is a, let's do a git checkout -b for E2, gives us an episode 2, and I'll go ahead and do a code dot. So there's really only like 2 pages that we're going to be updating here. So let me move this over. I want to keep the products page and the index page seems good to me. I'm going to go ahead and close everything else. We'll start with the index page because it's the most noticeable. So over here, what I want to do is sort of move this over to some kind of Bootstrap layout. So the first thing I want to start with is changing this notice up here. We're going to change this to a render for some alerts. We're going to come over to the, and this is going to be a little bit lazy because I really don't care about alerts, but we're going to come into the layouts, right click new file, underscore alerts.html.erb. And inside of the alerts, we're just going to do a quick check. If there's a notice, if there is, I want it to do the alert for success. That way it doesn't show up all the time. Let me do a bin/dev real quick. Because the Bootstrap style here for the alert success will show up regardless of whether there is one or not. So that takes care of that. Now the other thing I want to do here is I want to move these totals down to the bottom. So we're going to come down to below the categories. We're just going to paste in the totals. We can go ahead and refresh. That won't really change anything, but it'll make sense in a little bit. Next thing I want to do is, I guess right here, do a .container.mt-5, hit tab. And then I'm going to move this all the way down to the bottom and I'll refresh. So that'll move everything over and everything down. So that's good. Now for our stuff here, we are going to need some Bootstrap stuff here. So for the categories, we're going to wrap this inside of a row and a column. And this is effectively going to be for the numbers and stuff. So we're going to come here. We're going to have the category name. We'll just get rid of this right now. So we're going to have the category name right here inside of these 2. So this will be inside of the column. And then we're going to go ahead and close one of these divs for the column. And then we're going to have another div here for a column -md-6. We'll go ahead and close this. I'm going to save this so the formatter cleans it up a bit. And then inside of here, I want to do another H3, this one for a FW bold. And then we can, and that's font weight, I think. And then we can put the number to currency back inside of here. So now if we refresh the page, you'll see some of the stuff has moved over a little bit. It's not much of a change yet, but you'll see where this is going in a second here. Next, I want to take this table and give it a class of table. Go ahead and save this, refresh. Now we get these underlines below the headers. Now for the table itself, we have the T head right here, but right above the T head, I want to do a call group and I want to set some widths here. And you'll see what that does in a second. It just forces everything to have somewhat of a similar width, except right now the issue is my CSS is clearly broken. So we need to, after this right here, I think, close the row and that should fix that. Go ahead and save that. There we go. So now you can see everything here should be vertically aligned, which is nice because it makes it a bit easier to see everything when you're not like trying to parse where in the diagonal tree of different font sizes and the inputs things are. The next thing I want to do is I'd prefer these to be pulled to the right. So let's see if we could do this. And then we'll just say, can you pull the totals to the right using Bootstrap 5? Question mark. Let's go ahead and paste this in. GPT 3.5 should be quick enough to do this in the middle of the video. We'll just wait a second and then we should be good to just press the copy button, hopefully. Yeah, so it looks like this is the magic bit here. Go ahead, put this in, close the div, save this. Come over here, refresh. It did not work. So let's just go ahead and copy the whole thing. Maybe there's some other CSS that I'm missing here. Copy and Control A, oops, copy, Control A, Control V, save, refresh. That's not really what I wanted. Can you keep the totals in a vertical layout, but pulled to the right? Okay, so that should work. And then while that's going, the products controller, we can take a look at this real quick. So you can see right now, it's just using two different massive document query selectors, and I want to sort of break this up. So for that, I asked it to do that stimulus refactor. Let me try this real quick. And what we're going to do is just sort of vaguely refactor it until it's a little bit more readable. Okay, that's really not what I wanted. So yes, so let's go ahead and let's get rid of these columns because they're being kind of cringe. Something like that. There we go. Okay, I don't know why that was so hard, but there we go. We got that stuff working. That's probably one of the downsides of using stuff like GPT. It stops your brain from working. But then you just remind yourself that you're in a rabbit hole. You got to step out of it, and then you fix it real quick. So that looks good. Now let's come over to the JavaScript. So for this, I just said, hey, can you refactor this? Because like what you got here is kind of bad. And I'll just step you through what that refactor request looked like. Just said, hey, can you refactor this so it's more maintainable? Pasted in the whole thing. It then came back with this code instead. So we'll go ahead, we'll paste this in. So remember, this was these two massive document query selectors. This code right here is already a lot better. My only concern with this, because I did test to make sure this works. So if we save this, come over here and refresh, we can change a number. That should update the totals to 50. I can refresh, it's still there. I can change this to durable granite clock and then refresh, it's still there. And I can change this from purchase to not purchase and it changes the total remaining. And if I refresh, that still works. So that's all fine, right? But a couple things here. So the async field is like 40 characters long or 30 something, 32. So that's not great. And the update purchased was also kind of unwieldy. So what I did then was I was like, hey, can you break this up a little bit more? I said, can you break up these functions a bit? They're doing too much. And I just pasted these two in. And then it came back with this code right here. And this one I wasn't a fan of because it put the update field value outside of the class. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter. But I usually like to have everything in the class if the class is already here, just so that it's a bit easier for me to parse through it. It's just a personal quirk. I understand that like single responsibility also applies to the controller, but if we're using that logic, then this shouldn't even be up here. It should be in a different file, right? So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna copy this, and we'll take a look at what this change looks like. So we'll go ahead, paste this in. And you'll notice sometimes the lines go up, sometimes the lines go down. So there we got rid of like 10 lines of code. So that's something, but we also got rid of our imports. So that's not good. So let's go ahead and copy this and paste it from here down. There we go. Okay, so we got rid of like 7 lines of code. So this looks a little bit better. It's still doing a little bit too much here, maybe. We probably would need to refactor out the result, but that's fine. And then the update field is now a lot smaller. So this is now turning into like a 16-line function. It's easy enough to see sort of what it's doing without having to, you know, burn your eyes while you're looking at it. And the rest of this is already pretty much leaned out as much as I would need it to be. Although this right here could probably be refactored a bit, but that's stuff that I can handle in the future. It's just for now I want to get like that first pass of just cleaning up the code a bit. So the last thing I said was, hey, can you move this update field back in? And the reason why I asked ChatGPT to move this in again is because there might be some like context switches that need to happen here and I didn't feel like thinking. So I'll just click copy. It moves everything back in. We can go ahead and paste this in. You can see we didn't really gain any lines of code here. It just moves it in, and anywhere where it was using update field, it's now going to be using this .update field, right? Because it's now inside of this class. So you can see right here, this .update field. Looks a little bit uglier with the this, but at least the rest of it's more readable, right? So we can go ahead and do that. Let's refresh, make sure all of this is working. and this seems to still be good. Updates this, change this to Johnson's, refresh, that's good. Change this to keyboards, refresh, that's good. Change this from purchase to not purchase, that's also working. So that's just sort of what I wanted to do real quick. I just wanted to go through it, clean it up a little bit, make it a bit more readable. The other thing I might want to do in the future is maybe add like a form up here for adding a product maybe. So, I mean, we could even do that right now. We have the index page, right? We can come up to the top here. We could do something like maybe right here above all the products, do something like a render the product slash form, and we'll do a partial render partial product slash form, and we'll do locals of product, I guess is probably in there. We'll just do a product.new, right? Save that, refresh. Maybe not the best look. Maybe we take this and we move this down below the totals, maybe at the bottom here, just like here. It's still not great. I don't like the way this looks here, so I'd prefer this to be like a bit more laid out differently maybe. So what we can maybe do is let's come over here and let's say can you maybe wrap the products form in a drop down to reveal button or something. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense to ChatGPT, because it doesn't really make sense to me. And we can come down here. I probably should put it at the top so I don't have to wait for this, but this should hopefully work maybe. Let's see. Let's see what this does. We'll go ahead, we'll copy this, we'll paste it in, save it, come over here, refresh. We have a add product button. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So I'm going to grab this now, and I'm just going to move this up to the top, and I'm going to say this is going to be the render a partial for a products slash drop down, maybe something like that. And then we'll just come over to our products, right click, new file, underscore dropdown.html.erb, paste this in, save it, come over here, refresh, make sure that works. Yeah, that's good enough. So we'll say, I don't know, test case, URL will be youtube.com. Purchased will be true. Category, this is still using the numbers for the category, so that's fine. Let's come back to the home page real quick and test right here. So this seems to work, maybe. Let me add one more. We'll say test 2, case 2, 1, 2, 3, purchased. Oh, that was the price that I was putting in the case 2 for. So let's do like, I don't know, 5.99. Brains on autopilot. We'll do category 1. Why not? Create product. Come back to the home page and test 2, 5.99. Okay, so that all seems to be working. So I guess in the future, maybe what I'll do is I'll come back in here and I'll change the, first of all, this probably doesn't need to redirect. A lot of this stuff doesn't need to redirect. I probably just use like Turbo for it. For now, I think it's fine because again, it's just sort of a hack together project. I just want to clean it up a little bit. So I might do that, and I might change this form to maybe be a bit more horizontal, but for now it's fine, right? Just trying to throw something together for fun. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I'm sorry it's a bit of a weird one, but just something I thought I'd try. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next one.